The only thing I'm addicted to is football. Not from a referee's point of view, just from a fan. So I kind of got addicted to it that way and then fell into refereeing. So my football background helped. I started refereeing when I was 26, so I had a little bit of life experience being a soldier for 7 years. So that helped as well. But I just worked at it, set goals, set short-term goals. My long-term goal was Premier League in 6 years, which was, I thought, never achievable. But I did it. And I just kept pushing on, working all the time, learning from colleagues. I think the best advice I could give, the two best advice I could give is just to watch as much football as you can and learn from your colleagues.
If you would have told me 4.5 years ago when I started this channel that I'd be interviewing Premier League referees, I would have been like, okay, that's a bit far-fetched. But it's happening. That's right. You are going to love this episode. We got to interview Scott Ledger, who is currently a Premier League referee and an Ironman. He has refereed over 500 matches at the highest level in the most competitive league in the world. And he's a wonderful guy. And I think this is one of the fun things too about all the things I'm getting to do is I'm getting to meet referees from around the world. And one thing Scott said at the end of our interview after we finished recording is like, man, I felt like we could have just been hanging out at a pub. I'm like, yeah, it's because when you're a referee, you're instantly fast friends with any other referee. Last night, I had a high school game. It's a competitive game. I mentioned it a little bit on my channel. We had 2 red cards at the end. But the referee I was working with, Miguel, I've never met him before. Okay, he's another referee in my city, but he lives on the other side of town, about like 45 minutes, an hour away from me. We've never ref together before, but he was amazing. And I think I could be best friends with Miguel. Like, he was wonderful. He was intelligent. He was a great partner. We worked awesome on comms together. We really managed this very challenging match. Everything was going smoothly until the last 2 minutes when a couple kids decided to throw fists, but that's a whole other story. With that being said, like, I loved Miguel, loved him. Like, he was great. And I often find all of these referees from every background. Now, Miguel was originally from Peru, and I've met referees from the Philippines, and I've worked with referees from Mexico and all over Europe, and of course, all over the United States as well. And it's like, as soon as we meet and we're working a game together, we're good buds, and we're partners on the pitch, but we're partners in life. We have this shared thing that connects us all. And Scott was no different. Yes, he's a Premier League referee, but he is a regular guy who loves the game and loves what he does. And I think you're going to really enjoy the conversation. Guys, before we get into the pod, I just got to tell you, if you have not gotten a pair of my new referee socks, they're the USSF 2-stripe socks. I spent 2 years designing these things. They are the most comfortable things ever. Dude, I will just wear them around the house. They have this unbelievable softness to it, but padding, and then it's got the grip on the bottom, like the pro grip bottom that footballers need to be able to stay confident on your feet when you're making cuts and running. You are going to absolutely love these things. It's got a gradual compression that puts the pressure exactly where you want, and I got the compression at such a level that it's not overly constrictive. Okay, it's not medical grade, but it feels great and keeps you performing at your best. You need to check them out. Right now on my website, it's a buy one, get one half off. You will not be sorry. Everyone needs these socks. Please get them before they're gone and out of stock. Also a reminder, guys, if you're going to get the socks, make sure you get the shoes too. Umpiro, UMPIRO. You buy them on Official Sports. Again, I wear them every single match. I am light on my feet. I can make all the cuts that I need to, and they look really good. They're referee shoes designed for a referee by a referee. Check them out. And then lastly, again, Refer Sports. If you're in the assigning world or you work on the board of an organization that has to do assigning, it makes it so simple to change. They will literally set up a website for you, okay? They make it easy for you. They give you an app. They give you the website. It is all modern and clean and does everything you'd want to be able to do in an app. So not only is it great for you as an assigner, but it's great for your referees too. Why make life difficult for people in this day and age? Guys, again, thank you so much for supporting this podcast. I get messages every single week of people telling me how much they enjoy the show, how much they're enjoying the podcast, how much they're enjoying the channel, what it means to them. Every night, I'll have people, especially at high school, I'll have someone come up from the stands and hey, I'm a referee. I just want to tell you what your channel means and how it makes me feel. And if there's someone else going through what I go through, I say it all the time, but I mean it. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for allowing me to do what I'm doing as a full-time kid. Yes, I work for SoCal Soccer League, but this Refs Need Love Too income that I get from this channel enables me to take a job like I can with SoCal Soccer League. So thank you so much for your support. Thank you for supporting the shop at refsneedlove2.com. I cannot even begin to describe. I am living my best life, and it is all because of you. Again, thank you so much, and enjoy the show. Hello, and welcome to the Refs Need Love 2 podcast, a show that gives you a real, raw, and behind-the-scenes view of one of the hardest jobs on the pitch, the referee. I'm your host, David Gerson, a grassroots referee and certified mentor with over 11 years of experience and over 1,400 matches on my belt. You can find me at refsneedlove2.com, on Instagram, TikTok, and now on YouTube. Today, we are joined by a very special guest, none other than Scott Ledger. Scott is a highly experienced and accomplished pro assistant referee who has been in the English Premier League, the top flight, since 2009. 2009. He's accumulated more than 500 top flight appearances in 17 years. That is older than my youngest son, who drives his own car at this point. Scott has also served across the English Football League and major domestic cup competitions, including the FA Cup, where he was appointed as an assistant referee for the 2023 final between Manchester City and Manchester United at Wembley. Ledger began his refereeing career after leaving the Army in 2002 and worked his way through the pyramid, eventually establishing himself as a long-standing select group assistant referee. Tomorrow night, he'll be officiating Manchester City versus Nottingham Forest at the Etihad, but today he is here with us. Welcome to the pod, Scott.
Thanks, David. Love the intro, by the way. I love it. Excellent. Love it.
Well,
honestly,
you're
great,
brother.
Amazing. Yeah, thank you. Amazing. It was great. Give me goosebumps at times. Yeah, enjoyed that, mate. Thank you for that. Thanks for the intro. It was amazing.
Oh, no, it's a pleasure. Certainly, you've done amazing work in your own right, and it's just unbelievable accomplishment. To have that kind of long-standing performance at the highest level is exceptional. In any line of work, to be like that is unbelievable. But I do have a question for you, Scott. I was just at our SoCal Soccer League State Cup finals this weekend in sunny Southern California, and this is for the younger age groups, U7 to U12. Okay, a lot of tears, a lot of cheers, a lot of emotion without a doubt. No doubt. We had so many games going to penalty kicks. You could just hear emotion eruption all over the place. So you referee in very challenging environments throughout the Premier League, throughout your professional career. What do you think would be easier for you at this stage? Is it stepping in on a U10 Cup final, or is it going out there in a professional Premier League environment for a regular match day? Which one do you think would be tougher for you? We're going to take a quick break for words from our sponsor. It's better than an in-game water break.
If you're a pet owner who wants real talk on training, behavior, and everyday life with animals, check out the Fresh Patch Podcast. Hosted by Drew and Gabe, we cover the wins, the challenges, and everything in between. So wherever you listen, search the Fresh Patch Podcast, where good pets get it.
It's going to be a pretty quick answer. So on Sunday, I was involved in Arsenal-Chelsea Youth Premier League game.
Yeah.
Really challenging environment. Lots of expectation for us and my team, and obviously working with Devon, my referee, and Akil, the other assistant. Really challenging. I would certainly rather do that game than any U10 final. Honestly. No. So I still referee locally in my town in the north of England. And the challenges you get, even though obviously with my profile in my town, people know what I do for a living, I still get a lot of grief. So if I'm getting it, what chance have the other referees got? But yeah, only one answer. I would rather do Arsenal-Chelsea than any U10 final.
I'm telling you, man, I joked before we got on the pod. We had a former MLS pro referee, phenomenal pro referee, working a U10 final. And we had someone come over to the main headquarters tent and say, hey, you need to get someone out here to watch this guy. He doesn't know what he's doing. It's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. We'll be right there.
Love that. It's the challenges we get as match officials. We can't keep everybody happy. It's just waterfall ducks back into it, really. So we just get on with it, don't we?
Absolutely. I do want to ask you some questions about your longevity. So it is hard to get to the top, and hard is not even the right word. It is almost impossible to make it to Premier League, or in our country it would be the MLS. To that, you are in the 0.001% of officials when you get there. But you didn't just get there, man. You have been there for over 500 matches in the top flight in the Premier League, which is just insane. Okay. Some people get lucky if they sniff the pitch for one game and never make it to the pros. You're there for over 500 matches. So I really want to understand from your perspective, what enables someone to make it to the Premier League level, but be able to stay there and have a long career there? Do you have any like secrets or tips that you could share?
What's the biggest secret everybody can ever use is just you work hard. So I was never interested in refereeing at all. I played a bit, and when I was coming through the system as a player, I ended up with an injury. I got injured while I was in the army. Nothing sinister. I did be playing football, funnily enough. And I'm home on a weekend, and the referee's not turned up, and I've got my arm in a sling. And the referee's not turned up and said, "Look, Scott, you play football at a decent level. Will you referee it?" And I'm like, really? Me and referees never really tended to get on. So I thought, okay, I'll give it a go. And I quite enjoyed it. So I refereed my first game in a football jersey, my arm in a sling, whistling my left hand, quite enjoyed it. And then I took a referee's course, cost £10 which is not a lot of money. And then within 6 years, bizarrely, I've gone through the system really quickly. I find myself on the Premier League, which is crazy. I think, okay, one thing that really motivated me a lot, so I had a bit of a running joke with two friends of mine that when I first started refereeing, I made a bit of an off-the-cuff comment saying, I want to be in the Premier League in 6 years. And I thought it could be possibly impossible, but these two guys reminded me of this a lot. Don't forget, 2009, you're going to be in the Premier League, and I use that as my fuel to work hard to apply myself properly. And obviously, when I got promoted to the Premier League in 2009, these two guys contacted me, and I lost touch with them a couple of years before. They said, fair play. I said, to be fair, I need to thank you because you guys kept me motivated and gave me the inspiration to keep pushing through, which is a bizarre story. And when I did my 500th Premier League game last March, so just coming up to 12 months ago, one of the guys contacted me. And I see you're still going. Who would have thought it in when you started in 2003, you'd be on the Premier League, so fair play. So he remembered it. I forgot about it, really. Mm-hmm. He reminded me. So is there any secret, David? Oh, it's just like anything. I think we talk about luck. There's probably a certain little aspect to luck that I got there in such quick time. But I think Gary Player, the ex-golfer, he once said that harder you practice, the better your luck gets. So that's why I applied myself. Studied football. It obviously helps. I've got a big football background. I'm a massive fan. It's probably my only vice, my only thing I'm addicted to is football. Not from a referee's point of view, just from a fan. So I got addicted to it that way and then fell into refereeing. So my football background helped. I started refereeing when I was 26, so I had a little bit of life experience being a soldier for 7 years. So that helped as well. But I just worked at it, set goals, set short-term goals. My long-term goal was Premier League in 6 years, which was I thought never achievable. I did it. And I just kept pushing on, working all the time, learning from colleagues. I think the best advice I could give, the two best advice I could give is just to watch as much football as you can and learn from your colleagues. I used to love picking senior officials' brains when I'm working with them on a Saturday afternoon. Even guys who's just started picking their brains, just trying to get as much information as I can. And I'm still doing the same today. When the PGMO, we meet every 4 weeks as a group. We sit down and we discuss clips, we analyse, we train together, which is amazing. And I love picking my colleagues' brains. Even like guys who's not been on the list, because I think I'm the third or fourth most senior on our list at the moment in terms of years. And there's still junior guys coming through who just come to our group. And you're learning off them all the time, just picking bits of information off them, learning from their experiences. So we all learn from his mistakes. They're probably the biggest lessons. But if you can learn off other people's mistakes as well, it's a bonus because they're going through it as well. So no real advice, David, just work.
Yeah, I think it's just, you talk about the learning piece of it. I love the saying, the more you know about a subject, the more you don't know. So there's never a time when the learning ends. Like I think someone was saying to me this weekend, and I've heard this before, it's so great. If you're the smartest person in the room, you need to go find a new room. You're not challenging yourself. Yeah. You're not surrounding yourself enough with people who can help educate you. And in general, if you feel like you're the smartest person, there's a problem there too. But just again, it's this constant thing. It's stay curious constantly. I've been reffing for a long time too. I'm certainly no, expert or anything, but this weekend, I'm sitting at the feet of other mentors, of other observers, referee coaches, and just listening to them. What are they seeing? What are they watching? What feedback are they looking to give here? What stories can they share? And if you come out of a weekend or out of a match day and you get one more thing, that's one big step ahead from where you started the day. And if I can finish a match in one thing that I'm like, man, I could do better at that. Great. Write that down and focus on that next time and get better at that. I think it's great advice because people say work hard. Okay. Yeah. A lot of people want to work hard, but are people willing to learn, to be humble, to constantly be curious and constantly ask questions of themselves too and get feedback? I think that's really where I see what differentiates someone who's good to someone who's great. Because all of the professional refs that I've met through this time, they all talk about constant learning, constantly getting feedback, finding mentors, figuring out what they could be doing better, always, all the time. And that seems to be a thing that runs in that whole elite group, is people who are willing to learn and willing to question themselves.
Yeah, so when we meet as a group every 2 weeks, we had a meeting last week at Loughborough University. That's our central base, which is quite good. It's only 1 hour drive for me, which is great. So we spend a lot of time driving. So every time we meet and we have certain sessions, we get the agenda through for the week. And my favorite bit, even though I love training, I love working out on the pitch and pounding the miles and working on my technique and doing all my speed stuff and my speed endurance, my high speed running. And I've always, ever since day one when I got in the Premier League, I love the sessions when we're all in a classroom and we discuss individual clips and just to hear the experiences of my colleagues. Because I think I've been in their shoes, no doubt. They've been in mine, no doubt. Just to hear their perspective on certain decisions and how they come to the outcome. And there's a lot of occasions where you'll hear a guy say, I've no idea how I got that right. And yet now I can sympathize with that because I'm thinking, I've made thousands of decisions. I can't understand how I've got it right. But I just think that's the in-depth knowledge you've got as a match official and as a football fan. That you've got it right and you think, oh, that's a great decision. Just talk us through it, Scott, or talk us through it, David. And I'm like, I'd be lying to you if I knew. And I'd love to give it more. But honestly, it's like a sixth sense that you get through doing something lots and lots of times. And like you said, wanting to learn and learn from colleagues. Yeah. But yeah, they're my favourite sessions when we sit down and we discuss clips. Because there's some topical clips on a weekend. And obviously the Premier League, we had a weekend this weekend, which went quite well. But there's topical points and there's debate from outside world and people talking about clips. And I know we will discuss these clips at some stage. And I'm excited to hear my colleagues, their thought processes through these incidents, which is great learning for me. Because I'm thinking, if I can learn and take one bit, which will help me tomorrow or this weekend, and help me get one extra decision, it's got to be worth all the time.
Yeah. No, I love that. Let's talk about, you talked about this Sunday League. So you still go back to your local community and you refereed and service to the game, which is wonderful. And I'm sure so great for the players, but also for the spectators and for those other referees out there to see you. But can you talk about that culture shock that you go through when you transition from Sunday League to the National League to the EFL and finally make it up to the Premier League? What changes the most from division to division, like environment from environment? What are the biggest changes that you have to adapt to?
I think when I'm obviously coming through the levels in England, no doubt the same in the US, where there's more scrutiny, there's more eyes on certain games and you're coming through and there's more expectation for you as a match official to be more professional, which is great. And then obviously I got in the Football League and I think I've been refereeing 4 years when I got in the Football League as an assistant. And that kind of really blew my mind, really, because I thought I knew football and got it. But then when I saw what was going on from behind the scenes in the way that these matches were organised, in the way that the clubs behaved and the way they dealt with things, what an eye-opener. When I got to the Premier League, a total different kettle of fish. It blew my mind, the attention to detail, that it's an actual event that takes weeks and weeks in planning, and it was just absolutely amazing. He turned up and you think, you just expect to turn up with your bag, walk to your dressing room, sort your preparation, go out, warm up, do the game. There's so much stuff logistically that you'd need to do as a team and work together. That kind of blew my mind. But then also when you start doing live games, so probably my biggest lesson as a match official work, I saw myself live for the first time on a conference playoff semi-final. I'd never really seen myself as an assistant referee before, see myself. And our camera facing. And I recorded it on Sky, and I got home and I watched it, and it blew my mind. I'm thinking, wow, why am I doing that? Why am I in that position? Why are you crouching there? And I learned so much from that. And you talk about local football now, where all the stuff that you do is amazing. It's a brilliant platform. And we see now, I think it's really tougher, especially locally now as a referee. When I was coming through the system as a young referee, it was just me and 2 teams. Yeah. Or when I progressed through the levels, me and my 2 colleagues, or 3 colleagues and then 2 teams. But now there's teams are recording games. Sunday morning games have got cameras, you've got bloggers, and then all of a sudden you'll make a mistake, and then before you know it, you're trending on Twitter that you've made a mistake, and it's such a tough environment for match officials coming through the system now, but also it's an opportunity to learn as well, to see yourself back. And I learned more, like I said earlier, when I saw my first time as an assistant referee up on the television screen, and it blew my mind really, thinking, wow, what am I doing that for? And so we make our own style as we come through the system. I've obviously got my own style, and when I see my colleagues, I can pick them out with, if they chop their heads off, I could recognise who they are, because we're all different. But yeah, really eye-opening, and the scrutiny, and especially when some of your friends say, oh, did you do this yesterday? And I said, how come you got that decision wrong? And you're like, that comes with the territory. But yeah, it's really eye-opening.
Yeah. I would say so. One of the things I try and tell our referees all the time, and even for grassroots, even at U7 and U8, someone is always watching. Every single game is being recorded. The big thing, and it's, again, I'm sitting down with a Premier League referee right now, so you know this so clearly, but most assistant referees that I find at the grassroots level, and we have 3 referees for almost every single match here, which is a little different from in England where it's usually just 1. It's cool, but if you're working a lower level U10, U12 match, U13, and you have an assistant referee, sometimes maybe it's not a very challenging match, and the play is on the other half of the field, is still continuing to look like you're engaged, to be focused, to be not just ball watching, focus on the second last opponent, have your flag in the correct hand, stand straight up with the flag pointed down, don't have your hands in your pockets. I think that whole idea, though, is act like someone is always watching, because they probably are, and there's always a video camera someplace. That is something a lot of referees need to get really early, because it goes a long way to match credibility. It goes a long way to match control and having your decisions be respected. If you look right, if you look professional at all times.
I went to watch a young referee last night, and the points that you mentioned there, and I've never met this young guy, and he reached out to me saying that he's my local professional team, Barnsley FC. And I went to watch him last night on a U16s game, and he was there as an assistant, and they're playing a team from Norway. And the team from Norway were a really good team. And the whole of the second half, he was just stood on the halfway line doing very little. But you could see it. I said, the biggest compliment I can give to you is how professional you looked and how focused you looked. Because you had very little to do. I think he gave 2 goal kicks and 1 offside in the whole of the second half. But he just looked so engaged. And this offside flag he gave, it looked a really challenging decision, because an attacker coming back from an offside position, which are my biggest challenges as an assistant referee. And I just trusted him so much he got it right, because he just looked so switched on. And this was probably an inactive, really, in the semi-active position on the halfway line. Because he was just so engaged, his technique was great, his flag in the right hand, and he just looked great. So whenever he made a decision, I just trusted him. And obviously I'm probably looking for more scrutiny, looking at him with more scrutiny than any of the spectators. But you could see there were very little dissent on me, if any, because this guy, he just absolutely looked the part. And he didn't know I was coming to watch. So obviously, if he'd have known I'd have been there, there's no doubt, you know what it's like. There's a Premier League assistant referee behind me. Obviously, I need to be at my best today, because hopefully he can give me some advice. And he didn't know I was coming. He just said, yeah, maybe I might be able to make it. So I purposely said I might be able to make it. I didn't confirm, just for that reason, so I could turn up. And obviously I spoke to him after the game. I ended up meeting his father, and and I said, the biggest compliment I can give him is just how professional he looked, especially when he wasn't doing much. And they are the biggest challenges, is when you just stood there doing very little. And obviously when I'm stood on the halfway line as assistant referee, we are quite fortunate. Obviously we're in contact with our colleagues all the time. And I use a term, I always look for work, which even if there's nothing happening, I still look like I'm switched on. So when something happens, even though I might get the decision wrong, but if the people around me believe I've got it right because I've looked the part, that's certainly a good starting point.
I love that. I love just what you said, just always be switched on. When I was talking with one of the professional refs this weekend, he was just saying, I want my assistant referees on every single play to be in their mind, even if it's on the other side of the field and I don't make eye contact with them, I want them in their mind. Are they thinking, is it just a careless foul? Is it reckless? God forbid it's serious foul play. Is it, what's the throw-in decision? Is it a corner goal? Like on every single decision so that they stay engaged, because there's going to be a time when I need them, and I need them in that right mindset. I do have a question about, you talked a little about the preparation for the matches. So I actually got to do a match on Saturday night that's higher level than I normally do. It was a Division I collegiate match here, and it was a spring friendly. Their season's in the fall here in the United States. But these are people who are much faster, much more technical than I normally deal with. And some of the times I got surprised. I have to be honest. Like I was sitting there and it's some passes going back and forth, and all of a sudden, zoom, I've got a winger just like bursting into space, and there's a through ball on the ground. As part of your preparation for these unbelievable athletes that you are officiating, do you watch film to see about tendencies, about like overlapping runs or the type of passes they might be potentially doing, or doing like very direct Route 9 type of stuff? Do you watch film to get prep for what might happen on your match to help you respond better on game day?
We are quite lucky that, so I'll tell you a little story. So when I joined the Premier League in 2009, this was the whole staff that we had. We had the head of the organisation, ex-Premier League referee, a guy called Keith Hackett, head of assistant referees, a guy called Paul Rogier. We had a sports scientist. We had the Keith Hackett's PA, and that was it. That was the whole organisation, 4 leading members. Now we must have 70, 80. We've got sports scientists.
Wow.
We've got analysts. We've got the sports science team is unbelievable. The attention to detail that we get regarding our preparation to make sure in the right frame of mind, physically, mentally, the psychologists, it's on another level. So I've gone from having one meeting every 6 months to having one every month, which is unusual for us. We meet online a lot. And we talk about preparation for games. So match day -1 today for me. So yesterday we received a data pack, which speaks about everything that you just touched on. How teams set up, the personnel, potential set pieces, what position the referee is more than likely going to find himself in these passing areas, these passing lanes, and a lot of things, especially, which is really big in the English Premier League at the moment. The way that it's come back into our game a lot, which obviously when I was growing up, English football was really direct, but now it's gone a full circle. But then it's back again. So we've got long throw-ins, corners. So we get all this data sent where I can watch every corner, every set piece a team has either received or taken themselves. So my preparation today, I've spent a couple of hours learning the players. My thing is I like to know the players' full names because I think it helps the referee manage situations. If the referee speaks to a player and uses his Christian name instead of using his surname, I think you get a better response. If I called you David, I think I'll get a better response for you rather than calling you by your surname. So that's my thing. So I'll make sure I know all the players' names. The referee said, "Oh, Darren, what's first name?" And I'll tell him, and he'll be able to use that if he needs to use it. And then I'll watch the data packs. I'll watch the clips, especially the offside scenarios, especially from attacking free kicks, trends from players. One thing that we're seeing a lot in modern football now is players starting in offside positions and then disappearing back into the pack of players and impeding a defender, which is a really challenge to get in real time as an active assistant. So that's where also knowing the players' names, putting on the radar to my colleagues who's in offside positions so they can help me out. I had an incident at the weekend with Gyökeres where he starts in an offside position, but then I lose him. And because I identified how as Gyökeres impacted on any defenders, Darren says he's blocked a defender, we give it an offside decision. So that were really good. So yeah, I spend a lot of time on that. If I spend 2 or 3 hours the day before I do my physical preparation, and it helps me get one extra decision, it has to be worth it. It has to be worth it. And I enjoy doing it because I enjoy watching football. It's from one thing that there's no doubt you were a football fan. So when you started, I had this conversation today with a friend of mine that when you take up the whistle or the flag, it ruins football for you a bit because whenever I watch a live game now, I'm just obsessed to see what somebody in my shoes will be doing. What's he doing there? And what's she doing over there? And so you forget about football a bit. It's not taking away the enjoyment, but because you're so invested in the role that we do as match officials, addicted to what they're doing. So I'll go to my club a lot in League One in England. I just go and paying much attention to the game. I just watched the match officials thinking, why has he done that? And how have they got that light? It's a great decision, or why they're in that position. So it's ruining football a bit for me, but give me a bit more interest as well.
Yeah, I think everyone would be better off if they did become an official, honestly. And so I'm like you, like I'm football monogamous. I really don't keep up with any other sports at all. If something else gets to the finals, like our basketball, American football, I'll watch that. But really, throughout the year, I am all about football all the time. And that is what I focus on. But I do think that I can enjoy the game at a deeper level. And I think most spectators, if like you, they're proper footy fans, they're just huge fans of the game. There is no better place to be than on the pitch as an official. If you can't play in the game, like the next best thing is to be a referee in the game. I really would love for more people to pick it up like that, because it will change the game for them without a doubt. And I think for the better.
You talk about having the best view in the house, and obviously you'll have seen some amazing things. I've seen some amazing things on football pitches where quite privileged just to be there to witness things, and you think, wow, what a goal that is, or what a wonderful save that is, or what a great bit of skill that is. You haven't got the best seat in the house. And you talk about the in-depth knowledge that we have of refereeing and knowing the laws of the game. It's such a better game when you know what's likely to happen. Yeah. And when you sit in the stadium and you hear fans talking, what's happening there then? I think this law has been in 5 years now. It might even be longer, where an offside player goes back into his own half, then plays the ball, and then you restart the game from where he becomes. He committed offside. And even now, you're getting professional players at the highest level. They can't understand. What do you mean? Why? He's in our half, and they just can't understand it. It's such a better game when you know the laws of the game. And I tell my friends,
I tell coaches, man, if you want to have a better player, because it's all about mentality, right? Like on the pitch, you can't have your players losing their mind about an offside that was given or not given or something nature. You talk about that great scenario of a player coming back from an offside position. If you understand the laws of the game, okay, I can accept that and I can move forward. But you'll have players who lose their mind about stuff because they simply don't understand the laws. And that's a problem, man. So if you want people to have a great mindset, goalkeepers, I think every goalkeeper should become a referee. Not only do they see the game differently, but it will help them be a better referee and understand when can they pick up the ball, when can't they pick up the ball, all those types of things. I think they'd be so much better off.
And the way you think now where football's gone at the elite level and every level really, the marginal gains, that the 1%ers that these teams, the degrees they go to and the lengths they go to get that marginal gain, to get an extra point, to get an extra goal. If they knew the laws of the game, it would help them so much. I used to run a Sunday morning football team, and so I had the inside story to the way I could. I always used to set it one. So there's a penalty kick, and I always had two players level with the penalty spot on the outside of the penalty area. And some players, they're not allowed to stand there. I'm saying they are, trust me. The referee won't. So more than likely, if the ball's saved and it goes to them, they've got a good opportunity. So it's helped. And to be fair, it tells. When I go to games and I sit with fans, and the seat that I usually use at my local club, and obviously I know a lot of the fans around me, and they'll ask me, so what's happened there? Why have they done this? And I try and educate them. And now they remind me, saying, oh, this happened, this is going to happen now, isn't it? So it's certainly enhanced my enjoyment of the game, knowing the laws. I just wish I'd have known now. So I'd known when I was playing what I know now, because I would have got away with a lot more. Trust me, I would have done.
I'm sure. I do have a question. We talked about your pregame prep from like a mental standpoint in visualizing what the teams are doing, the statistics. I love that what you talked about with the data packet, where they talk about potential positions that they might set up for free kicks and where the referee might be to have the best angle. I do want to talk about the physical prep. So you are outrageously fit, and everyone at the professional level now is outrageously fit. What are your go-to exercises or things that you swear by that you're doing the week type of things? Again, like game day -2 or 3. And then what are you doing the day before and day of to make sure you're ready to be at peak performance on the pitch?
So physically, match day -2 for me. So obviously that was yesterday, which my match day -2 yesterday was match day +1. So
you're recovering too.
The recovery yesterday. But so my game this weekend's an FA Cup game at Leeds United. That's on Sunday. So my match day -2, I will do a speed session, which we wear GPS data. which is in real time, gets sent to our sports science team, which they can see how fast I'm running, what my speed distance is. So we get a training program every week. And obviously my match day -2, there'll be certain parameters that I need to hit. I need to tick off a certain amount of distance in that speed session for speed distance covered. So I think a sprint is 25 kilometers per hour. And I think we use about between 100 meters per session. So I'll do that. I work a lot on my lateral movement, and I always have done. So if you're in the right position, which usually the assistant referee, if you square onto the field, you can usually see the ball being played and also the secondary most defender, the attacker. Mm-hmm. But on occasion, that's obviously, we'll never move as quick as these wingers who are just super quick, or these attackers who are super quick. Even defenders now are just so quick.
Oh, yeah.
So on some occasion, we have got to just sprint. But I try my best just to make sure I'm always side on, and I back myself 99 times out of 100 to get a decision right if I'm side on. On occasion, you can't be in that position. So I work on my transition when I do a speed session, from sprinting to getting to sideways position. So I'm sprinting to my right, and I'll turn and put my brakes on and readjust. And imagine I've got a secondary most defender, the ball being played. So I do that in my speed session. On a match day, I do that as well. So when we split as a team, and Darren, the referee I'm working with now, he'll do a few high-intensity runs through the centre of the field. Akil and I will disappear to our lines or checkers lines, even though they're all the same, but we still like to visualise.
Doesn't matter, right? Yeah, no, you're prepping for the game. Yeah.
That's absolutely right. So especially with a delayed flag, that I go through the process in my mind. So I'll do a couple of runs up and down the touch line, and I'll do a few short, sharp movements when I'm laterally, and I'm thinking, right, in this scenario, I'm a delaying in this scenario. When we speak, obviously, it was the inception of VAR in the UK, which was 2018 when we started testing. And I did the first game, bizarrely, which was Crystal Palace, Brighton in the FA Cup third round. And we're all excited to do it. Jose Marino refereed the game. And the game finished 0, and there was no checks. And we thought, this VAR is easy. It's easy. We know it's clearly not, but it's still a challenging place to be mentally. And I don't think I'll ever lose to it, but it comes with a role, I suppose.
It's hard. First off, people don't understand that what might look really clear on a still screen, a still image, of a moment in time, when you've got a defender stepping up, playing an offside trap, and again, striker running full speed, coming up down the pitch towards the goal line. Holy cow. I mean, that is happening in fractions of a second. We're dealing with literal inches on and off. Now, by the time everyone looks at them, they might be 3 yards clear, right? Because the ball's been played, and finally everyone's starting to see where they are. And then everyone's wondering, why are you delaying the flag? It's like, dude, it is a lot closer on the pitch. I can tell you that. And then the other thing you said, I think is so interesting, and this happens to every referee. Like, sometimes you'll have a play where it's a goal kick or a corner kick situation, but the ball was hit from 30 or 40 yards away, and it's going slow and rolling. And sometimes you just forget, okay, which way was it going? I don't know. I'm thinking about other things at this time by the time the ball finally went out. So I could totally appreciate your brain is on that play with Danny Ings. Okay, you're saying into the headset delay, you're trying to tell everyone, hey, I've got a flag. Flag's going to go up for offside when this play stops. But you get down there, he's cutting it back. Now you've got other decisions that you're thinking about. You're watching for potential fouls, all these things. Finally, it scores. Oh, someone scored. Okay. My gosh, I can totally get it. Your brain, you've thankfully, your teammates backed you up, but I could totally appreciate how you may have forgotten, about a potential offside offense that happened 10 seconds earlier.
It was a really challenging part of me. I think this would have been in my 14th season on the Premier League. They were really challenging. And the chat I had with my boss, Mike Malarkey, ex-top assistant referee, and he just said, relax, it'll come eventually. And then sure enough, in the first minute, it came that evening. And then I got it out. Fortunately, I avoided an incorrect non-flag because my colleagues reminded me, did you send the delay then there, Scott? So luckily, the guys, when we had a night out at the end of the season, I bought some well-deserved beer there.
That's so awesome, man. So I do have a little question about the VAR. As an assistant referee with VAR, and now with the Premier League even implementing the automated offside technology, taking it to a whole different level. You're still there, calling offside when you see it and you're clear, and then keeping your flag down when you don't think it does. How do you maintain your confidence as a referee out there when you're being compared to a computer? You raise your flag for offside, and then the computer comes back and says, nope, it was on. For whatever reason, they decide it's on. Does that affect you? Do you guys talk about that often and how to process that?
I think it does affect me personally, and I know it'll affect all my colleagues in different ways, no doubt. I think it's VAR coming into our game it had to happen. I'm from Yorkshire, so our national sport in Yorkshire is cricket. So they've had technology in cricket for a long time. I do get it's a totally different sport to football, but we do need it. And from a personal point of view, so say I've made a decision, I've left my flag down, and the players are doubting me that I've got it right. The fans behind me are criticising me, convinced that I've got it wrong. And then even your colleagues might say to you, Scott, are you sure you've got that right? I was so strong-minded mentally that I told myself, no matter what anybody says, I have got this decision right. Because if I dwell on that decision now and doubt myself, it could lead to an error or another error. Mm-hmm. So I was just so stubborn in my mind. I will worry about that decision after the game when I've seen it myself in black and white. Now I can't do anything about it. It's in the past. The most important decision is not that one, it's the next one. So I was really strong mentally. But with the inception of VAR, and we talk about semi-automated offside, so we've got a 5 centimetre tolerance within the offside lines with the company that we use and the competition the Premier League introduced, which I think is really good, to stop all these toenail offsides and these armpits, which is great. And we've got this tolerance. So now we get instant feedback when we have made a mistake. I've been overturned twice this year for reverse crossovers, the vein of my life as an assistant referee. And you get instant feedback when the VAR first come. You do doubt yourself because you're so strong-minded mentally. You process the decision and learn from it after the game, but now you've got to process it and learn from it during. So I used a bit of a technique, and I read it in a Tiger Woods book, bizarrely. Years ago, he wears a rubber band around his wrist. I presume he still does. And I wear something very similar. So after every decision I've been involved in, whether it's been a positive decision, a VAR check, which has been correct, or a VAR check, which is the most challenging ones, which comes back as incorrect, which comes with the territory. If any match officials said they've never made a mistake, they've clearly never refereed a game yet. Right. So I use this rubber band and it resets me. So I twang it quite hard. And I'll tell you through a scenario in the first season of the Premier League. VAR, I had a non-flag at Liverpool-Watford. The Liverpool goal in added time. And the check took 6 minutes because we had no semi-automated technology then. So the VAR and his assistant VAR had to put the lines in, find the correct second-most defender. On this occasion, second-most defender was the goalkeeper who'd swap positions with the defender. And I was stood there for six minutes in this way in added time. And I didn't realise that during this time, I was twanging this rubber band. And I come off after the game and I couldn't get my watch off because my wrist had swollen up so badly because I was just twanging this rubber band for 6 minutes, trying to process the decision, going through it in my mind, thinking the goalkeeper had switched places, so he was my secondary most. The attacker, I couldn't see him. I couldn't see a part of his body he could score his, so that could be right. And I'm going through all this in 6 minutes. And I come off and one of the lads who on the line, he says, look at the state of your wrist. And my wrist had swollen up that badly. My watch strap had nearly split. But I still do it. I've never had it that much extreme since, but it does reset me massively. It just regrounds me. It makes me like, okay, that decision's gone now. You need to focus on the next one because that decision's finished. You can't do anything about it. We'll process that after. And it works. And we talk about, I use that in my normal life. So now I walk on the streets with a rubber band around my wrist. Mm-hmm. Helps me process things in my normal day-to-day life with my family, with my friends. I play a bit of paddle tennis. I wear it to that to reset myself when I make an awful shot, which is probably every other shot. So I use that to, and just come across that through reading Tiger Woods' book over 20 odd years ago now, before I even started refereeing. And then when VAR come in, I thought, how can I develop something to help me process and move on? Because it's great your colleagues will say, unlucky Scott, move on, you can't do anything about that. And that's great, that's fantastic. But you'll still be stood there thinking, having your doubts and your negative thoughts, thinking, wow, I should have got that right. But then if you're dwelling on that one, potentially you could make another mistake. So it works really well for me, a rubber band. Yeah. Obviously, it's not healthy when you're twanging it all the time, but it certainly won't work.
I just want to say the channel does not condone self-harm. No. We don't anybody hurting themselves. No. I think the advice, the moral of the story is stay present and look forward. And you said the words, the most important decision is the next decision. The most important decision is the next decision. Learn from whatever decision you've made right or wrong, whatever, take a lesson, learn from it, and then get focused on the next decision. Dwelling about the past and lamenting the past or beating yourself up about the past doesn't help, right? Not at all. But if you learn from it and stay present is the most important thing. I do have a couple very last questions for you. I've been to Old Trafford, so I've been to Craven Cottage, so I've been to a couple Premier League proper environments. I've never sat down close to the pitch in the Premier League, but watching it on TV seems like can be a pretty rough environment. What is some of the funniest, or I don't want the mean things people have said, but any funny or creative things that people have said to you from the stands?
We hear all kinds of comments, especially at certain grounds, as you can imagine. Some really not complimentary, as you can imagine. And it's something that you just chuckle at. It's got to the stage where I used to totally ignore them. And they think, no, I'm not listening. But now it kind of makes me chuckle a little bit, thinking, oh, quite clever and oh, quite witty. And I remember a couple of years ago now when we spoke about, I mentioned it earlier, where an attacker coming back from an offside position, if he plays the ball and commits an offence in his own half, you restart the game from there. And I flagged a guy offside, coming back from an offside position, and he collected the ball 20 yards in his own half, which looked really bizarre.
Yeah, totally.
And I'm getting absolute pelters from this guy for 35 minutes before half time. And he's coming down from his seat. He's hanging over the barriers because obviously a lot of English grounds, you mentioned Craven Cottage, is probably the tightest ground in England.
So tight, yes.
The assistant referee, really tight. It wasn't quite Goodison Park, which is a really challenging environment, amazing atmosphere. And so this guy's coming down, and it got to the stage where the game, the half had finished, and when I checked my nets, and I recognised this guy, because I looked on my shoulder, because I'm thinking he's really close to me. I felt like I could feel his breath up back of my neck. And I turned around to him as I checked my nets at half time, and then retook my position on the touchline. So I always like to run towards to the fans, so I can look at him. And I recognised this guy. And I just said a few words to him. I said, you can't be offside from a goal kick. We know this. I said, but when a player returns into his own half from an offside position, it's still offside. And he didn't know. And to be fair, 20 minutes into the second half, he apologised. Line up. I'm really sorry about that. I didn't realise somebody's just confirmed it. And I'm thinking, and I never really comment to fans, but it just got to the stage where I think you're talking rubbish here. And I mentioned it to him. And when I take my line, I take my bottle out, I put my bottle down, I have a drink during the game. And I mentioned it, and he was like, oh, and I never heard anything until 20 minutes later. Then he come and apologise to me. I did turn around and say, oh, no problems. Apology accepted, obviously. Yeah. Crazy. And he said, I apologise, Lionel. So it always made me chuckle that. So whenever I make a decision now like that, I had one at weekend, and I think Pedro, Chelsea striker, collected the ball in his own half from an offside position. And Darren restarted 10 yards in his own half, in the player's own half. And that's the norm now. But there was 60,000 at the Emirates on Sunday. And there'll still be fans thinking, we can't take a free kick from there. And that's the point that you and I spoke about earlier. If the fans learn the laws of the game, even just pay a little bit of interest in it, the sport as a spectator sport, such a better watch.
Yeah, agreed, man. I have served as the unofficial referee whisperer so many times when I've been sitting in the stands explaining things. Like when my kids played, and everyone would look at me, why do you do that? I was like, no. And it just helps them. It helps them reset and enjoy the game. Just focus on the game. But if no one is there who does understand the laws, it can be really challenging. Hey man, listen, you are a busy guy. I want to get you back. And again, your match day, just -1 right now, coming out tomorrow. I want to make sure you get to go watch your footy and get a good night of sleep. Scott, I just want to say thank you so much for coming here, sharing your story, sharing your wisdom, sharing your ideas on how to make the game a better place. And can I just say the most important thing, thank you for the service that you're doing in your local community, going to watch that young referee on that pitch, on that U16 match, going out into your community and working those youth games, again, those Sunday league games again, even with all of the other responsibilities you have and your commitment to your full-time job for the PGMOL, working as a professional referee, you're still making those efforts in your local community to share your love of the game and also show people, how being a referee can be a positive thing and create a better environment for football for everyone. So, sir, thank you so much.
Well, thank you, David. Thank you for having me on. It's been great. And keep the content coming, because it does light my day when I see one of your posts come up on my Instagram. It does light my day. So I've even got my wife following you as well. So yeah, keep the content coming. It's very good, man.
Scott, again, thank you so much. And everyone out there, thank you so much for listening today. As usual, just as a reminder, please support the Refs Need Love 2 store online. Everything gets put back into making this channel possible. And as always, I hope your next match is red card free.